Mongolian gerbils as pets have been growing in popularity in recent years, but until 1935 all of them were wild, and most of them still are. So what are the lives like of our gerbils' wild cousins? That's exactly what we're going to find out today. So they're originally from the Central Asian semi-deserts and steppes of Mongolia and southern Siberia. These regions tend to be very dry and barren with very little plant life, but it's not as warm as you'd imagine it to be. The summer temperatures may reach around 20 to 25 degrees Celsius in a particularly hot summer, and winters can get as cold as around minus 20 degrees Celsius. This is a large reason why burrows are so important to gerbils, to help protect them against the changing climates. However, burrows are more effective at protecting against colder temperatures as opposed to warmer ones. They're also essential for food storage, protection from predators, and raising their young. Parent gerbils will also seal the entrances to these burrows when they're about to give birth. They dig their burrows in dry, loose, and sandy soil, and it can be over 1 meter deep and 4 or 5 meters wide in each direction. And they spend the majority of their time inside of these burrows. Gerbils are pretty unique when it comes to their sleeping habits. They don't have a set sleeping schedule like most animals. Instead, they spend around half of the day and half of the night asleep and tend to take lots of short naps rather than having one continuous period of sleep. So they're intermittently active throughout the day and night, although they're slightly more active at night and at dawn and dusk, but they can wake up at any time. So in the wild, the only groups that naturally form between unrelated individuals are the male-female pairs. And the way they tend to choose mates is the males will set up their territory and the females will choose between the males. And as the females begin to develop a preference for one male, he will begin to chase off any other males in their territory. And the female then basically moves into the male's burrow. So gerbils are usually monogamous, although they may occasionally engage in extra-pair mating. So gerbils are known as cooperative breeders, which means some members of the family delay breeding themselves in order to help raising the pups. Dad gerbils help out a lot with raising the young, but siblings also help with this process. This not only helps with raising their siblings and increasing pup survival, but it may even make them better parents themselves. The father's presence in the burrow also helps to speed up pup development. The helper gerbils are so important that if there's no helpers around and mum is on her own, this can decrease the survival rate of the pups. Fertility is suppressed in the offspring that stay to help look after the new litters by a combination of the presence of the mother and the pups. This means that the helper gerbils are not full adults due to their suppressed fertility and are instead considered sub-adults. This structure also means that there's only ever a maximum of 2 adult gerbils in a burrow at any one time. The rest are either sub-adults or juveniles. Group splitting tends to occur when infertile sub-adults become fertile. The breeding female is usually the one that instigates aggression, although the male may sometimes initiate aggressive encounters as well. Once a gerbil has left their natal family colony, they then become a lone gerbil and find another lone gerbil to pair up with and make their own family colony. Infanticide of familiar pups is generally rare and is usually caused by an inexperience in pup care, although it can also be caused by malnutrition. Males tend to range more widely than females and are generally more active. The exact amount of distance they travel each day is unknown, but what we do know is that gerbils as a species tend to prefer to spend most of their time in their burrows and only really travel to find food. They rely heavily on scent to identify each other and will engage in frequent scent marking as a form of territory defense. They'll also chase away any intruders. How much neighboring clans interact with each other largely depends on what time of year it is. During the food hoarding season, they generally interact less than during the breeding season, which is September to October. Some of their natural predators include things like the steppe fox, steppe eagle, European viper, general birds of prey like hawks, owls, and falcons, some local snakes, and wildcats. Gerbils are massive hoarders. They construct many food chambers inside their burrows for this purpose. Some of them contain dry food and others contain germinated grains. So gerbils are actually omnivores, not herbivores. They will occasionally eat small insects such as grasshoppers alongside their usual diet, which mainly consists of low fiber foods such as seeds, green vegetation, and different grasses and roots. Plant life in Mongolia is mainly dominated by things like grasses and shrubs, so this is what gerbils will come across most often in the wild. So gerbils don't tend to live as long in the wild due to things like predation and food deprivation, but if they avoid that, then they can live up to 4 or 5 years just like our pet gerbils. So gerbils actually haven't been domesticated very long. It was only in 1935 that the first laboratory breeding stock was established in Japan from wild-caught gerbils. It wasn't until the 1960s that gerbils were first sent to America and later on to Europe. It was around this same time that gerbils started to be sold as pets. It's assumed that most of today's pet gerbils are descendants from the original laboratory gerbils. Some changes that have occurred as a result of domestication are that pet gerbils are larger than wild ones, have lower brain weights, shorter intestines, and bigger litters on average compared to their wild counterparts. These are all commonly seen changes in domesticated animals. There are also more coat colour variations than are naturally seen in the wild. Agouti is what's most commonly seen in the wild, but more unique coat colours such as black and spotted began to appear in pet gerbils in around the 1970s. And even more coat colours have emerged since then, such as the cinnamon gerbil. There's some suggestion that domestic gerbils may be less wary of humans and more tameable than their wild counterparts. And this may be associated with the changes in coat colour and other physical changes, which is a common feature of domestication, sometimes known as domestication syndrome. Although we're not entirely sure of the exact causes of the changes, researchers believe it has something to do with an increased tolerance for recessive genes in captive bred animals. So which part did you find most interesting? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to learn more about your pets and get answers to a range of your pet questions, then subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any new videos. Thanks so much for watching, I'll see you in the next video.